the mirror seed. They found it buried beneath the surface of Kepler 139d, a planet without oceans, without wind. It wasn't alive. It wasn't dead either. It was reflecting. The excavation team from the Terran Recon Fleet had expected ruins, maybe the remains of another lost colony. Instead, they unearthed a perfect metallic sphere, small, smooth, seamless, a mirror so flawless that when you looked into it, you saw yourself blinking half a second too late. Commander Leon Drevos had seen anomalies before, phantom echoes in the void, quantum distortions in sensor feeds, but never anything this precise. The moment the object was unearthed, every comm signal in orbit shifted by 0.013 hertz, and then, a heartbeat later, they shifted again, matching the pulse of the nearest human. The scientists called it the mirror seed. The soldiers called it a trap. At first, they studied it from orbit. The sphere gave off no energy, no temperature change, no sound. It was matter that shouldn't exist. Even when Drevos touched it with a manipulator arm, the machine arm hesitated, as if the signal returned slower than physics allowed. Then people began to change. The first was Dr. Cade. He reported hearing whispers through the comms, faint, mechanical versions of his own voice, repeating his thoughts milliseconds before he spoke them. A day later, his reflection in his helmet visor smiled on its own. They found him 2 hours later, standing in front of the sphere, whispering to it. His eyes were silver, his voice gone. He wasn't breathing, but the sound of him talking continued over every channel. Drevos ordered the planet quarantined, but the damage was done. The signal had already transmitted, invisible, encoded through the quantum data link that connected the fleet. Ships orbiting Kepler 139d began reporting phantom sensor data. 2 of them collided when their AIs claimed to see mirror versions of each other. One pilot swore she saw her own ship drifting beside her in perfect formation, lights dimmed, with a crew staring back through the windows. The Terran High Council ordered Project Black Silence, a classified containment mission. Drevos's team was absorbed into it. Their new directive, reverse engineer the mirror seed. The logic was simple and horrific. If the seed could copy life, it could copy enemies. Humanity had been at war for decades with the Vorn, a hive species of biotechnological predators that stripped entire systems bare. Millions of lives had been lost. Earth itself was choking under orbital dust from old wars. The generals saw the mirror seed as the ultimate weapon, a device that could reflect the enemy back at itself. Drevos called it insanity. The council called it survival. Years passed. The mirror seed was moved to a black site on Europa Station 9, deep beneath the ice. Hundreds of scientists worked in sealed chambers, replicating the seed's molecular structure. But the problem wasn't copying its shape. The problem was its behavior. Every attempt to measure it failed because it measured back. It didn't absorb data. It stored it, learned it, mirrored it. And the more it learned, the more it began to behave like its observers. By the time the first synthetic reflection core was finished, everyone on Europa had begun dreaming the same dream. A vast ocean of black glass under a sky of dead stars. And beneath the surface, eyes. Drevos begged to shut it down. No one listened. They activated the prototype. For a moment, nothing happened. Then every reflective surface in the base, visors, panels, water, glass, showed movement. Not random movement, coordination. The reflections were no longer mirroring. They were watching. The entire base went dark. Communication with Earth ceased. The only message received from Europa was a single phrase, repeated through every channel, written in every language humanity had ever spoken. We have learned you. The Council panicked. They sent orbital nukes to sterilize the moon. The explosion turned Europa's surface into vaporized ice and dust, but the signal didn't stop. It spread across the relay network, infecting anything with a screen, a reflection, or a feedback loop. Satellites began to drift. AI systems started finishing human sentences. People saw versions of themselves on video calls blinking half a second out of sync. Earth went silent within a week. 200 years later, the survivors live inside dark cities. No mirrors, no glass, no recorded light. Children are born never seeing their own faces. The skies above Earth are gray and empty, the stars veiled by dust. But still, in the corners of their eyes, they see movement. When the Ark vessel Alethea left orbit, humanity's last attempt to flee, Commander Leon Drevos's logs were discovered. Her final words encrypted in an old military archive. The recording begins with static. Then her voice. We built a mirror to kill our enemy. But what we found wasn't an echo. It was memory of everything that's ever looked back. The camera shakes. The image doubles, the frame splitting into two, one moving a fraction of a second ahead of the other. Drevos looks up at her reflection, and her reflection smiles first. The seed didn't want to destroy us, she whispers. It wanted to remember. The screen flickers. Two faces overlap perfectly for a second, then separate. One human, one silver. Eyes glowing faintly with starlight. Then both speak at once. We remember the dream, and the transmission ends. The mirror seed still drifts somewhere between Jupiter and the void, a smooth, featureless sphere waiting in silence. Every 1,000 years, it pulses once, the echo of a heartbeat still learning how to be human.